morning, everyone. Good evening and good afternoon to viewers from all walks of life. This is Denzemos, and you're welcome to the channel of truth, enlightenment, freedom, and the channel of breaking empath free. If you are new on this channel, I talk about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. I talk about spirituality, and I talk about personal and self-development. And if any of that resonates with you, I invite you guys to join us, give us a like, share the video with friends, and you may subscribe if you haven't already. And for those that have always been with us, you are welcome back, and I thank you for your love and support. Now, for the whole of last night, I've been wanting to talk about introverts. You guys might have known introverts. Maybe there's an introvert in your life, an introvert in your family, an introvert in your workplace, work environment, an introvert as a friend. So those are the guys who are also called the INFJs. So those are the guys who have introverted intuition. Now, I'm not very much of a specialist because, like you guys already know, my channel is usually about different things like narcissism, spirituality, growth and development. So basically, there are other coaches that specialize on this subject, the INFJs. So you guys can always go out there and do your own research. If you're an introvert out there, you can always go there on those channels. There are so many online. You can get some more clarity on situations and issues that concern the introverts. But as an introvert, speaking from my own perspective as an introvert, I personally didn't know anything about being an introvert. It's just after later on when I awakened to the fact that I was actually an empath, I also later on started researching and doing some work and learning more about myself. Those moments when I was starting to evolve and develop, I kept on learning more and more about myself, and that's when I came to the conclusion that actually I'm an introvert. I've always been an introvert, you know what I mean? But you see, the thing is, introverts have got a very, I don't know if it's strange, or I don't know if it's different, or I don't know if it's what, but there's a way you can understand that introverts are also individuals who are very different. So first of all, these guys, they're the guys who live in their mind. You know what I mean? So when I talk about living in their mind, I also mean that introverts are people who are very, they live in their mind, which I mean that they are very deep thinkers. So an introvert is a person who will think about each and every small detail. You will find them somewhere sitting by themselves and thinking and thinking and thinking. It's like thinking, it almost feels as if thinking is the best thing they can do. So those guys, they will think and think and think, and they will figure out all the little details that other people don't understand. And again, we also have to understand that introverts, they are very, very highly intuitive people. You know what I mean? Number one, they are empaths, and they're also very highly intuitive. And those individuals, the moment they step out of that shell and they decide to take a step further, one step forward, they are going to do so much in their lives. So introverts, they are very intelligent. Those guys, they have a lot of wisdom. Those guys can explain to you things that are out of this world. You know what I mean? Their knowledge and their wisdom is out of this world. That's why you see sometimes when you're listening to an introvert is a guy who is going to challenge you. You know what I mean? They are going to challenge you in so many ways. They are going to do something, and they may not necessarily mean that they are trying to challenge somebody, because those introverts, they are not guys who are out there to compete. They're not competing with anybody. The introverts, they know that the only competition is the competition that is within. So you are competing within yourself as you become a better version of yourself. So you are not out there trying to outcompete people, trying to race with other individuals. You just leave people where they are. You let them be. You just carry on with your life, and you just do you. You know what I mean? So, but again, you're not competing with anybody. So sometimes people misunderstand the fact that maybe it's an introvert, or an introvert you're following online, or an introvert in your circle. So sometimes you may think that those individuals are competing with you, but actually introverts, those guys, because of the fact that they also do not like attention. So those guys, they just do themselves. They just do them. So they just do them, and they just keep on their, keep in their own lane, do their own thing. Although for some other people, they always misunderstand them and think that they are trying to, uh, compete with them, or try to show some kind of So basically, struggles of an introvert are many. So struggles of an introvert, also you can find things as such as social anxiety. So introverts, the people who are really, really anxious, when it comes to social anxiety. Because those guys, remember that those guys, number one, they don't fit in. It does not matter. I've told you already, the guys, those introverts, they're empaths. So those individuals also, they have got a struggle to fit in. So it doesn't matter. You see them, you can go in a party, you can go out there, there's a party going on, or there's an occasion, there's a function going on, a sports activity going on. You'll find introverts sitting on the sitting in the corner of the class. I remember back in the days I was in school. I was in those days, the primary and the college, those days. So I remember that whenever I went to school, whenever I went to class, I really, really never wanted to be noticed. You know what I mean? I used to struggle to sit in class, just to sit in class, because remember that you're sitting with almost like 50 or 60 other students. And most of the times you feel like you just feel that you can't fit in. And most of the times you extremely, as an introvert, you're extremely anxious. It causes a lot of anxiety, whereby I used to feel that I had to like to sit at the back of the class. I would just sit at the back of the class and just uh, watch things, from a distance, just watch everybody what they are doing. Because again, introverts, those guys, they're observers, you know. So you find them sitting in social events, sitting by themselves in the corner somewhere. They're just observing everybody. They're observing everybody. They're analyzing the conversations, the discussions. They're taking notes. Those introverts, they will be taking notes. They'll be just watching people and taking notes in their minds. You know what I mean? And recording everything. And I can guarantee those guys, they cannot forget. Whatever it is they're seeing around them, they will always and always remember what it is that has been happening. If a person has been lying, or a person is a little bit fishy, or phony, or things like that, you will see those guys. They will always know from the very start. Even sometimes they may not even sometimes mention it, but they will know from the back of their mind that that person is tricky, or that person is funny, or things like that. They're not straight. You know what I mean? There's something they're hiding beneath the surface. You know what I mean? So those introverts, they are guys who are also like, I could say they could also be partly awakened, even sometimes before the real awakening happens. Those individuals, you can say that they're partly awakened because of the way they carry themselves and the things they know and the things they do, even if sometimes they may not really know exactly. Uh, like for example, at the early stages of the life of an introvert, they may not really know. They may not really have evolved to that level whereby they really know who they are. But on a very spiritual level, they're already almost awakened. They're like, they see a lot of other things that people around them cannot see, or sometimes cannot understand. You know what I mean? So those guys, introverts, they are the guys who almost understand humanity and understand the human brain, how it works. You know what I mean? So those are the guys like psychology. They are the biggest psychologists who have even never gone to school. You know what I mean? You can find them, those introverts. They may not really hold like college degrees, I don't know, whatever, diplomas or things like that. But those individuals, I can guarantee you guys, they are very, very intelligent. Because the person who is an introvert, they're the person who have got introverted intuition. So those individuals, it's like the people who have like, they use the both sides of their brains. You know what I mean? So for the most of the guys on the planet, they are very much using the other part of the brain, the conscious mind. But the introverts, they're also like tapping into their subconscious on a daily. You know what I mean? It's like they've got the ability. And those guys, again, we still have to remember that those individuals, they are very, very few in this universe. So you can find, like, I think the records say that it could be maybe 1% in the whole entire planet of introverts in the world. You know what I mean? It could even be less than that. But it's a very, very small number. So those guys, they're a minority. But those guys, I can guarantee you, when you meet an introvert, you will know that you've met somebody very different, and you just can't understand how they think. You can't understand why they decide to do the things they do, or their direction of life, and the choices they make in life. Those guys, I can guarantee you guys, they are doing things that that sometimes can challenge human understanding. You know what I mean? So fitting in is a big problem for them. They will struggle with the being around people. They will get a lot of times social anxiety. Sometimes the introverts, you can find them, they struggle with also things like loneliness, because you see, as an introvert, as a person who has got social anxiety, so you always have this feeling around you that you're going out there, it's like you're trying to fit in with society, you're trying to do what other people are doing, you know what I mean, and it's not working. At some point it's not working. It does not matter what you do, you can always go and try. Guys, let me tell you something. You may sometimes find most of those guys, introverts, who are like into sports activities. You'll see them sometimes they're behind there watching everything. They're just on the field, on the pitch, they're watching. It could be a match, it could be a game, they're just there watching everybody, but they're not participating. So sometimes that's why you see those guys, they have a tendency to stay a lot of time by themselves. You know what I mean? So they just decide to lock themselves up in the room. They're sitting in their own room, they're working on that little book, or sometimes they're in the garage working on a certain project. You know what I mean? And those guys are, as well, we also have to remember, because of the way they use their brain. Those are the guys, you see them, they'll usually come out with very, very big inventions. You know what I mean? Because those guys, remember, again, I've said that they're using both parts of the brain, which very few people on this planet are able to do. So those guys, they use both parts of the brain. So you see those introverts, you ask them about something, it is always going to feel as if they know the answer to each and everything. It is always going to feel like that. And I don't know, that's the reason why sometimes people, they misunderstand them, because you have got a challenge. So a person has got a challenge, and you come to an introvert and you're talking to them about something. There's something you want to know, and those guys, they're going to give you a very clean, a direct answer, and you're going to think, how in the world, how on this earth were they able to answer that, or were they able to know that, or to understand that? But those guys, on a deep subconscious level, they know. They just don't really know the reason why they know. They just can't point out all the other details, how they know what they know, but they just know that they know. And when they tell you something, it's always going to add up. It's like they're going to complete the puzzle for you. You know what I mean? They're always going to complete the puzzle and put all the dots together and tell you exactly that thing that you've never heard about in your entire life. You know what I mean? Not even from your parents, lecturers, I don't know, university lecturers, the people like that. So those guys, they're just naturally smart and intelligent. You know what I mean? So that's why it's very difficult to think that you can just come around and lie to an introvert. So the introvert, you may come around and lie to them. They may even sometimes, because you see, again, something we have to understand, those introverts, they're not into shaming people, or sometimes bringing people down, or making people feel bad about themselves. So they may just watching, they may just be there listening to you, and they're just listening to whatever it is you want to say. And they know that you are lying. They know that you are lying, you know. They're just watching you. You're talking about this, you're talking about that, and they're just watching, because those guys, they're just there watching. You know, they're analyzing everything. They're putting all the dots together. They're adding all the puzzles together, and they're just waiting for you to finish. And by the moment you finish the conversation, they may not really tell you that they know that you've been lying to them, or things like that. They may just sometimes just walk away, or sometimes you may see them. They may decide to play along. You know what I mean? They may decide to play along to say, okay, so this person looks funny, or this person looks funny. It seems as if they're lying. They're not saying the truth. So they're going to play along and just decide to pretend that they are, they're part of the conversation. They're listening, and whatever it is you're saying. But at the end of the day, they will go home knowing that you've been lying to them. So those guys, is very, very, very difficult to lie to them. You know what I mean? So for a lot of guys, especially guys who are, the extroverts and people like that, people are not introverts. When they come into contact with the introverts, it is always going to seem as if those individuals are being challenged on a daily basis. You know what I mean? So the life of an introvert is also a life which is a bit is a very different lifestyle. When you're talking about introverts, we're talking about people with a very, very completely different lifestyle from the people around them. You know what I mean? So those guys, they will always have a different lifestyle from their families. They'll never be the same like their family members, like their parents, in their schools, even sometimes in their job center, in their job places. You will notice that sometimes the bosses, the owners of those companies, the bosses of those companies, sometimes they may even sometimes choose those introverts to hold very big positions in those companies, because they sometimes believe those guys have got very, very massive inventions and ideas that actually are going to move the company forward. So sometimes you may find those introverts in leadership positions. You know what I mean? So if you find a corporation, a very big organization, or a society, or things like that, you're going to always find them at the top. They may be handpicked to take the leadership positions and be at the top, because most of the time other people socialize and associate with them. They always think that those individuals, they know a thing or two about certain things, and also their inventions. They are things that actually can move the whole community and the people around them to the next level. You know what I mean? So all I can say is that it's not really easy being an introvert. You know what I mean? It comes with its own challenges, because there's some other things that we deal with on a daily basis. You know what I mean? You deal with things like being misunderstood. You deal with things like being criticized. You know, because people only criticize those things that they don't misunderstand. You know what I mean? And the critique may also lead to the hate. You know, so sometimes you may also notice that because of the over criticism, people, they may start to hate you, you know, for no apparent reason. On the subconscious level, they hate you. They don't know why they hate you, because they feel like you're, you know, it's like they've got that kind of intimidating energy around them. You know, the things they say, you know what I mean? The things they do, you're keeping on challenging the status quo. People don't understand you. They don't know what you're saying. They're almost listening, but but at the same time, they're wondering how it is that you have got all this knowledge within, something that they do not have, or they do not possess personally. You know what I mean? So sometimes that's what causes the hate. You know what I mean? They will misunderstand you. They will criticize you, and eventually, sometimes you might even get a lot of hate from the people around you. Like, for example, you might see a corporation which is a very massive corporation, and they may handpick out a person who is an introvert to lead the organization, and that other people may not understand why have they actually handpicked this person to lead the crowd, because the bosses have already seen that this guy is going to move our company to the next level. They will handpick you. You know, they pick you out of the employers, and they will put you in a position that is actually going to take the leadership positions. And sometimes it causes a lot of friction within the workers, you know, other workers in the work environment. So introvert's life is a bit controversial as well. You know what I mean? An introvert may say that they want to do this, or they are going to say this, and they say something different, because, like I've said again, introverts, they're using the both sides of their brain. You know what I mean? So they may decide to say something, but as they start to say it, you're not going to see them diverting a little bit away from that subject. That is because they have now tapped into their subconscious, and their subconscious is bringing out other information that actually they should also add on to that thing that you're deciding to talk about. And sometimes that's where the confusion starts. You know what I mean? So those individuals, I can guarantee you, if you're an introvert out there, I don't know what has been your experience. And again, like I've said, I'm not really much into the INFJ. I've not been doing a lot of, I've done a little bit of research, and I've known a little bit of things here and there. Some few coaches I used to watch, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I may not know really the whole details of the whole story of the introvert, because this subject is a very, very big and very broad subject. It's like something we can talk about and go on and on and on and on. But again, in my own experience, I mean, those are the things, I mean, like the things I've personally seen, I've experienced in my own journey. So if you're an introvert out there, you be rest assured that you're different. You know what I mean? You're not going to be the same like everybody else. You're not going to do what everybody else is doing. You will not say what everybody else is saying, because you've got your own path. You know what I mean? You've got your own choices and your own path, and you know on a very deep level that those are the paths that you're supposed to take. So you're not going to always follow the crowds. You're always going to walk a different path. You know what I mean? So if you're an introvert out there, I would just like to know your opinion. What has been your journey? Have you seen these things I'm talking about? Have you experienced life the way I'm saying it now? Let me know what has been your experience in the comment section below, guys. You always know I love and appreciate your support. It's just something I want to talk about, because it was very much on my soul last night when I was going to sleep. So I just decided that I'm going to make a video about introverts, you know what I mean? Because I know there are so many out there. Probably some of them are not yet awakened. They don't really know who they are, but they really know about on another level that they are really different. You know, on the very subconscious level, they're different than other people around them. You know what I mean? So leave us a comment, guys. Like this video, share with your friends. Of course, if you know somebody who needs this content. And until then, you can always donate if you want to. The links of my Cashapp and PayPal, then they are in the description below. Until then, guys, I'll get back to you in my next one. Desmo signing out. Peace.